disclaimer, this is a video about my experience with the Sony A7 III. The Sony A7 III is the camera that greatly impacted my journey as a photographer. You can check out the video I linked above if you want more information about specs. But before I tell you that this is by far the best purchase I've ever made when it comes to my paid work as a photographer thus far, let me tell you a little bit about how I stumbled upon purchasing this camera. Like many photographers, I entered the world of photography through introduction by someone close to me. This person right here. She introduced me to photography when she purchased her first entry-level DSLR, which pushed me to go out and grab one myself. But before I accepted that a DSLR was the way to go, I spent months trying to learn as much about photography with my phone, the iPhone 8. I was deep into phone photography and videography. That is another rabbit hole for another day, and through my beginning experiences with photography, I've made various purchases of cameras, lenses that just didn't meet the needs I was looking for as I learned more and more about photography. So I made purchase after purchase until I met the Sony A7 III, and then my world changed as a photographer. The Sony A7 III is the camera that many creators have talked about as the camera that broke the mold when it comes to what to expect from an entry-level DSLR and has greatly impacted the camera industry, giving life to the world of mirrorless DSLRs as we know them today. So when I purchased the A7 III, I was a little nervous as to whether this camera would be overkill for what I was going to use it for, and if my skill level was where it needed to be in order to operate such a prolific camera. The A7 III was and is more camera than I need for what I do, which makes it a great camera for what I do because it will always overperform, which allows me to under-promise and over-deliver when it comes to client work. I went into my purchase of the A7 III determined to push it as far as I could, pushing aside any boundaries I created, and I'm still pushing it. The A7 III is the camera that you pick up when you know you are serious about photography because it will challenge you in ways you expect and ways you aren't even ready for as a beginning photographer. Camera, almost forgot that part. This is to say that there are upsides to the A7 III and there are definitely some downsides. The camera is great when it comes to photography and videography. You have the tilt screen that ensures you get the shot when you are behind the lens or behind the camera, but it kind of falls short when you are in front of the lens or in front of the camera. You can't see the screen. There are some workarounds, but they cost extra money, which is an obstacle when you are on a budget. And there are also some downsides when controlling the camera and seeing the settings due to the limitations of the camera not having an articulating screen and the quality of the LCD when in direct sunlight. I've only been using this camera for a little over a year and I'm still learning new things about it. There's still a ton to learn, especially when it comes to learning how to properly use the autofocus and the face-eye autofocus. I still don't get it. The videos I've watched didn't do it any justice, but I understand it enough to get the results I'm trying to get. I know there are new cameras being released every 3 to 6 months, but the A7 III is worth the purchase, and with some time and patience, you can master this camera. I'm still working on mastering it. And I've thought about upgrading to the Sony A7 IV, and I've watched all the videos I could that are driven to influence me to make the purchase, but I'm still learning this one. And I'm going to stick with it until I feel like I've learned all that I could. The Sony A7 III is my work camera. Out of all the cameras I own, I know I can count on this one to pull through when I need it in tough situations. In my opinion, this is the camera that just may be the best camera you could purchase as a beginning photographer or videographer, and maybe cinematographer. Are cinematographers and videographers the same? I'm not sure, but it's definitely something to look into. And that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.